What's good, Washington Commanders fans? All right, today, well, it was supposed to start yesterday, but it's starting today. I'm bringing you a new segment of Washington Commanders called Today in History um, for the Washington Commanders. And each Friday, early Saturday, I will bring you new content of whatever event for the Washington Commanders that will be slated on the history of the Washington franchise, whether it's the Washington Redskins, Washington football team, or the current Washington Commanders. But I will bring you detailed information about um, um, whatever is trending in that history of that time, that space and time, and today. So let's get started. Episode one. This will be the first episode, and it's going to date back on May 26th of yesterday. 24 years ago, Daniel Snyder purchased the Washington franchise. Now, we all know that the Washington franchise was sold by Jack Kent Cooke, the Washington owner. Now, I did not know that the franchise was being sold at that time. I really didn't know. All I knew that Daniel Snyder was the owner. I, I mean, for me to been a long life Washington fan, I guess never paid attention to ownership. I really probably didn't until Daniel Snyder took over and started seeing how the franchise started changing and didn't do as well as it need to. So it was May 25th, 1999, where the franchise, the NFL, the Washington NFL franchise history for $500. Well, not for $500, but whatever the case may be. But Daniel Snyder officially became the owner of the Redskins at that time. Now, dated back into 1999, we still had the name Redskins until up to what? Let me see. We had the Commanders for last year, the Washington football team 2 years prior. So I guess what, 2000 around about late 2000, what, 2000, what, 2020, 2019, I say around about 2019, 2018. But as it pertaining 24 years ago on that Thursday, the NFL owners cast a vote approving Mr. Snyder as the NFL's newest owner to replace Jack Kent Cooke, now who had died on April 6, 1997. By the way, the vote was unanimous. I guess Daniel Snyder was just one of the guys who they liked it at the time. But with Kent Cooke dying, I guess it left an open door. So Daniel Snyder paid then was $800 million to buy the franchise, and the rights to be then Jack Kent Cooke Stadium, which is now FedEx Field. So, lo and behold, but back then Daniel Snyder was 34 years old. And we all know that Daniel Snyder was a long life Redskin fan. His family, his dad was a Redskin fan at that time. And it seemed like it was a good idea during that time for Daniel Snyder to get this team. But as we know, throughout the years, this team could never get back to the glory years that we once had. From Joe Gibbs winning 3 Super Bowls, and everything like that. So it just took a lot until now that this franchise is going under a second ownership. And we all know the details behind that because of Daniel Snyder and his incompetency of running a franchise. This franchise, since Daniel Snyder took over, has been a disappointment. It has been a very letdown. Yeah, there was some flashy moments here and there. There was some overpriced overpriced free agents that we played, not drafting well, not getting the quarterbacks that we need to be a franchise again. We missed out on a lot of opportunity with this franchise. And then not so much, not to add to that, we dealt with so much scrutiny under the Daniel Snyder regime. You know what I'm saying? When Daniel Snyder bought the team, he spoke to the fans, acknowledged that they wanted to win. He wanted to win, and they was going to win. Well, from that day, 24 years ago, Snyder was always the majority owner. There was also minority owners that were family members, and Fred, I guess, Dreisner and Mort Zuckerman. Dreisner and Zuckerman had known Snyder for being the original investors in the Snyder communication. Increasingly enough, financial commitment chairman Robert Kraft of the New England Patriots described Snyder as a passionate about the game. You don't have to worry about the new steward of the franchise has anything on his mind but winning. And unanimously voted doesn't happen very often in the league. I have a bias for owners who have passion and will put winning on the field above everything. And see, if that was the case, don't you think this franchise would have been well off? Would have been winning a lot more, would have been in a better position, would have been better equipped, would have been better to challenge certain attributes? Yes, but that didn't transfer because Daniel Snyder seemingly, and we all started thinking about it, seemed like he had an agenda just to buy the team. Not so much where he wanted the team. You understand what I'm saying? It seemed like he had an agenda just to buy the team, but it's like a politician. They'll say all the good stuff that they want to say just to get your vote or gain your confidence, and then turn around and do the completely opposite. And that's what it seems like that Daniel Snyder did with this franchise. He did not took care of this franchise the way it was supposed to. Because if he did, there would have never had to been a time that we would have had to been going under another ownership just because he was passionate about this team. I'm passionate about this team, but does that make me a good guy to come in and be an owner and run this franchise? No. Even though I got management qualifications, but that still doesn't qualify me. You know what I'm saying? That just say, hey, I love race. I love NASCAR. That doesn't make me go out there and be a NASCAR driver and think I could compete with these guys that have been doing it for years. I think Daniel Snyder got in and over his head. I think Daniel Snyder just wanted this franchise just to say, hey, I had to, I'm a fan of this team. I wanted this team. He went out and got it. Now, where did he get the money from? Who knows? But at that time, I just think Daniel Snyder, said all the right things, and Robert Kraft and all the other owners said, well, you know what? Hey, this is a new face. Maybe he'll come in and bring some legitimacy to this franchise. Jack Kent Cooke, died 2 years before, but at the same time, this team needed to be where it is. Now, as I stated 24 years ago, you look at to now, this franchise has not moved forward since them times. And for them to vote it unanimously, it's kind of crazy just to see that. You know what I'm saying? it's kind of crazy just to see stuff like that. Me personally, I don't understand it, but I just me I feel like if you look at it, so Daniel Snyder invested about 120 million in cash, with family members adding another 90 million. And Dresner and the minority partner Mark Zuckerman of Boston Real Estate and publishing magnate putting up 90 million. So between them two, that's 100. Between his minority partners, they put up 180 to his 120. You know what I'm saying? Zuckerman and Dresner have known Snyder since the mid 80s and were original investors in Snyder's communication. So he brought them in. His Bethesda-based business was revenued about $1 billion a year. So they had money. Snyder, who briefly addressed the owners this morning, was allowed to remain in the meeting. He sat next to casually for the rest of the morning session and was presented for the afternoon business meeting. Snyder, who will not have a vote as an owner until the sale is finalized by the trustees of the Cooke Foundation, most likely by the end of June. He also technically is prohibited from conducting business as a team owner until the closing, but sources indicated that he will begin studying the team's business operations and making plans for implement change before the final settlement. And that's what's going on now. So if you look at how he was going to be the new owner of the team, but just like Josh Harris is right now, Josh Harris can't do anything right now. He could probably be in the meetings, he could probably talk to people, but he can't make no sole decisions until the deal is finalized. And that's what Ron Rivera was talking about, because of with the contract situations dealing with Cam Curl and Montez Sweat and Chase Young, they can't really do anything until new ownership is in place. But seemingly, Daniel Snyder had partners. Daniel Snyder had these guys in place. And if you look at some of the things that is highlighted in this article, it's just telling you how the operation of ownership is taking place today and what the formality is. It seems like the owners like the Dan Snyder. Robert Kraft vouched for him back then, and he seemingly got a unanimous vote to be in. You know what I'm saying? So would that same thing happen again? Another unanimous vote for Josh Harris? Well, there's a little snag here and there. They probably want a little bit of verbiage change where it's to their liking or whatever, because they don't want somebody to come in there thinking that they have the upper hand over the other owners. And it seemed like Josh Harris and his people seem like they got the power to be a little bit more powerful than some of the owners, besides Jerry Jones or Robert Kraft. But that's what it seems to me. So now former commissioner Paul Tagliabue at the time was the commissioner of the NFL, and a lot of people wasn't happy with Paul Tagliabue back in the day. He was a little bit older and stuff like that. So, but he introduced Daniel Snyder as the perfect person to pick up the Cooke legacy and to run it. Daniel Snyder has proved his mantle in the business world at a young age and has passionate NFL fans and Redskin fans. Snyder, who made his $500 million fortune in marketing and advertising, said he would strongly consider selling naming rights to the stadium. He said he will not change the name of the team, which is offensive to Native Americans and others. He also pledged his ownership will provide a new energy at Redskin Park and in the stadium. With his wife, Tanya, standing in his back of the interview room, Snyder thanked her and the NFL owners, Redskins, employees, fans, and the Cooke family. It's because of the Cooke stewardship that the Redskins have become such a story franchise. He said, "We really appreciate everything that they have done and hope to continue with that." Now, going back, listen to that now, and look into where this franchise is at now. Daniel Snyder has not provided any energy. He has not did anything. He ended up changing the name because of social pressure. You know what I'm saying? Um, he definitely, he said he was strongly consider he will strongly consider selling the naming rights to the stadium, which they did. They changed it from Jack Kent Cooke, which I would have kept it at Jack Kent Cooke Stadium and not FedEx. You know what I'm saying? So, but that would at least kept the name in the family a little bit more. He didn't do half of the stuff that he said he was going to do. So, looking at 20 plus years of Daniel Snyder, it has not been great. His words never lined up to what he was supposed to do today. And that's bad. That is very, very bad. So, among Snyder's duties with the team, he also was named team president throughout, though he said no decisions have been made. Sources close to Snyder said that he will seek a person with both business and football background to oversee the franchise on a day-to-day basis. Former Miami Dolphins coach Don Shula and former Carolina president Mike McCormick, both in the Football Hall of Fame, are among members of names on preliminary list to be potential candidates, but had not been contacted. Snyder take over as a team that finished 6-10 and missed the playoffs last year for the 6th consecutive season. So during that time, if you look back, we lost 6 consecutive seasons. So it was 97, 99 when he took over, and Jack Kent Cooke died in 1997. The Washington franchise had not won a Super Bowl since 93. So 94, 95, 96, 97, 98, 99, 6 seasons we missed the playoffs. So we had not won since the last Super Bowl. During that time, we haven't won anything since the last Super Bowl in 93 or 91, 93, one of them. Yeah, because I think that was the Doug Williams year. Let me go back and double check, just to make sure I'm right. '92 against the Buffalo Bills. So I was close. 93. So therefore we were the final year, that year we were 6-10 and missed the playoffs for the last consecutive 6 seasons. Man, that's a long losing drought. And then if you look at it when he took over, I think we only won the division 3 times since then in 24 years. So even though we had 6 losing seasons under Jack Kent Cooke during final years, because you gotta think Jack Kent Cooke probably was tired, sick, and couldn't run it the way he wants to. But I mean, so with the article saying that Daniel Snyder said the Redskins are in the rebuilding phase, the youngest owner in the league. Daniel Snyder was the youngest owner in the league at the time. We have just everybody agreed. We just had what everyone agrees was a great draft. In my dreams, we win the Super Bowl next year. In truth, I hope and I like to happen. However, in the coming year, you'll find there a new energy in Redskins Park. You'll feel the energy in your stadium, and that's my pledge and my obligation. But it seemed it never came to fruition. never came to fruition. On the terms of his father will, John Cook, who twice bid unsuccessfully for the team, will inherit about 10% of the sale price minus expenses and might get a much of a as 60 million from the transaction. Proceed Proceeds from the sale will be used to set up a charitable trust to provide scholarships and postgraduate students. Snyder will contact Cook shortly about making a orderly ownership transaction and was planning to visit Redskins Parks later that year. Well, later that week. Snyder has said Casley is the guy that's on. If people don't know, he was the general manager of the Washington Redskins at the time. Kurt Turner was the coach of the team at that time. Both of their contracts ran through 2021. Will keep their jobs for the 99 season. And both men met with Snyder, arrived on Monday, and we all know because Casley is he comes on an NFL Network half of the time and talks, what I'm saying, and sometimes this dude to me don't seem like the effing he's talking about half the time. But you notice that Daniel Snyder did, they got fired, they was gone. So I didn't know at the time that on the finance committee, the NFL finance committee, Robert Kraft was the chairman and the owner of the New England Patriots at the time. You know what I'm saying? So this is crazy. This is so crazy. I didn't even know that at the time. So, but as you realize now that, they didn't even allow John Cook to, he bid on a team. He bid on his dad's legacy, twice, you know what I'm saying, and did not get the terms, and which that could have kept the team in the Cook family for years to come. Say for instance, if they did have allowed John Cook to purchase the team, where do you think that this team would have been if it was in other hands, if it was still in the John Cook? Now, granted, his father was sick and everything like that, and the team wasn't winning since the 92 Super Bowl. So they had 6 consecutive seasons. But granted, even though they sell it to Daniel Snyder, look what we did. We still haven't had winning seasons. If you look up today, we got a coach that got fired from Carolina because ownership changes, and he only had 3 winning seasons, and that's Ron Rivera. So if you think about the 3 seasons in his 12-year history, he would have had 12 losing years completely. So this franchise needs somebody with business acumen. You know what I'm saying? Business acumen. I will attach this article in my description so y'all could go back and read the history of the sale purchase of the Washington Redskins with Daniel Snyder, so y'all could get a better understanding what went down, and then y'all could think about how it is translated into today. I do believe that now that they got Daniel Snyder out the way, because I think Daniel Snyder, like I said, I think he got in over his head because he just wanted his franchise. I think he made some stuff. Maybe if he did hire Don Shula or one of the other guys, maybe the franchise would have been in a better direction. We don't know. He ended up hiring Bruce Allen, and Bruce Allen has not did anything. He didn't want to pay some of the players. We pay high-priced players like Deion Sanders, Albert Haynesworth. We end up, didn't want to keep some of our own players such as Trent Williams and back then, and all of this crazy stuff, and then all of the scandals started coming to play. So you look at it, I mean, to me, I feel like we would have been better off having one of the Cook family members with the team. At least we would have gave it a chance and see what the team would have went from there, but we don't know now. So, but that's what happened in the history of the Washington franchise. The Washington Redskins. Eventually, the team name changed, which I wish it stayed. I'm a Native American, and I didn't get offended. I'm two-part Native American, Cherokee and Seminole Indian. So it didn't bother me because like I grew up with this team. I was a fan of this team. I was a diehard fan of the Washington franchise. I seen almost everything about this team. But that does not. And then we have new generation of Redskin fans, who didn't get to see everything back then, but understands, going through the hardship under Daniel Snyder. It's a bittersweet ending to have him not there. Now that we about to be on a new regime, hopefully Josh Harris and Magic Johnson, Mitchell Rouse could put a winning product on the field, and we can start getting back to some of them glory years of winning Super Bowls and playoff games and having great games and stuff like that. So that's where I'm at. But this concludes my today in history of the Washington franchise. Come back with me for episode 2 on Friday or Saturday, and I will bring another fresh episode, and hopefully you like this one. Like I said, I will keep the description in the box for y'all so y'all could go back and read and everything like that. But I think it's very informative just to understand the business standpoint of ownership and understand who was the players in that deal back then. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of ironic when you read stuff like this and then you find out who, Robert Kraft played a pivotal role back then. You know what I'm saying? Especially being the chairman of the NFL Financial Committee. That's crazy. And he kind of like vouched for it, because you look at Robert Kraft now, he is that guy. Look what his franchise did. His New England Patriots won what six out of 9 Super Bowls. Had a winning percentage over 20 years. So I mean, he has done something right over there. So, and I think just Daniel Snyder, by him pushing the team back then, he got excited. He was a young man, and I think he was over his head, and he didn't make the best business decisions when it came to this franchise. So, but continue to like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell anytime I drop a hardcore video, and I definitely will let you know when I have a new segment. Now, the season is coming up, guys. So be on the lookout for my live stream on Mondays on the Washington Commanders, the Aftermath, where I do a recap of the Sunday game or the Monday game. So it could be either. The Aftermath could take place the day after if we play on Monday night, which we don't play on Monday night this year. We play on Thursday night. So we still would do a recap on Monday of that game. So until then, guys, have a blessed Memorial weekend. Stay safe. God bless. And I'm out.